This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for lessons learned. And I came up with this podcast, about 3, 4 months ago, because I was thinking about the many people I have met in my life. And one happens to be Denise Zarrella. And if any of you are from the Cleveland area, you probably remember her on TV and doing some great interviews. In fact, Denise, I have to thank you for some of the interviews you did with my son, Alex,
Oh, he
because,
was talk about inspiring. I think about him so much, Karen.
well, he's come a long way since you have interviewed him. Um, and it's because of people like you who didn't just do stories just to do stories. You did stories that left an impact. And maybe not everybody heard it, but if it impacted the person that you were interviewing, that
Then I accomplished my goal, right?
you did. So some people, if they're local and they're watching this going, Denise, a name from the past, because
Right.
you haven't been on TV for how many years now?
So I left March 31st, 2019 was my last day. And then I began my new life on April the 1st. So yeah, it's been about 2 years.
So one of the things we talked about before we started recording was that before kids, TV was a great gig. Um,
Oh
you,
yeah.
you didn't have all those responsibilities. Um, and even when your kids were very young, it probably wasn't as difficult because between your husband helping you, your family, and childcare.
Well, we had a lot of help. We don't have any family here locally, but I always say it was a God thing. We didn't know who was going to help us with our kids, and suddenly we had three wonderful, beautiful women that were available to help us. And unfortunately, in the last few years, they've all retired and moved on. So it was kind of like the perfect storm that came together that propelled me into doing what I needed to do next.
So over the years, you said in the beginning that at one time you thought of becoming an attorney, um,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't follow that direction. But you also hinted you still have that desire.
Well, you know what, I will say I don't have the desire to go back to school, but I do still have that strong desire to help people, especially victims, to help, just to, I mean, to help moms, to help, kids and adults with disabilities. So that is still a fire that's burning inside me. So my eyes and my ears are still always open for anybody who needs help. And so I still try to be there when I can for other people that need help in other capacities.
Absolutely. So you have two beautiful children. Okay.
Thank you, Karen.
I love watching Anthony and his hockey and his proud dad, just like beaming
Yeah.
over everything that Anthony does. And that's terrific. But you have a daughter, G.
Hmm.
It looks like the kids really get along very, very well together because
Well, they fight too sometimes. So
that's
just
kids.
like other kids, just like other sisters and brothers.
um, but you use the word disability, and I don't like using that anymore because I like to say that we all have abilities. And
And we
if,
all have disabilities, by the way. I used to
well,
say, hey, you know what? We all have a special need, don't we? Some is more obvious than others. But if you get to know people, you realize we're all struggling with something.
exactly. And I like to focus on the abilities, and it's one of the
Mhm.
things that you taught me when you interviewed my son Alex, because you talked about the things that he was really good at. And as a mom, I knew that, but I kept focusing on how can I change those things that he's not good at. And when
Mhm.
I heard you, it was like, you know what? That's not up to me. And if it changes, it changes. But this is who he is. And it was like, you know what? Makes a lot of sense.
Hey, they're their own people. I mean, like people say, I mean, they are on loan to us from God. They're not, and they have their own path. They're on their own journey, and we're here to help them as much as we can, just like our other kids.
Right.
But wow, I can't believe I did that for you, Karen. That's like, I didn't know that, but because to me, like, your son is so talented, in his, especially with his, I remember when he was announcing at that event. That's
Yes.
how I met him.
Right.
What was that? What
With
was that event that we
with
were at?
for
I
autism.
remember him.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember him more than I remember what the actual event was.
That was for Autism Speaks when he
Okay.
was doing the entertainment. Um, and
And what a host. I mean,
yeah,
there are people that are, just that don't have the challenges that he does, that, you know, by the way, that is not, Tony will tell you, that's not my bag either. Like, I was good at reporting, but I'm not the best host. So that's why I looked up to him. He got up there and he was just a natural talent.
well, and I appreciate hearing that. And those were some of the things that saw in the stories that you presented over the years, because it was like, wait a second, open up your mind, see
Hmm.
what's in
Yes.
front of you, and
Hmm.
don't prejudge. And,
Right. Never.
um, but so many of us grow up in a world where we're letting the media um, dictate to us. This is what beautiful is. This
Hmm.
is what smart is. And the reality of it is, we're all beautiful in our own
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
And
And talk about a lesson learned. What the name of your show? Uh, it- that's a me, as you're saying all of this. That just, at 49, that's real. You get to a point in your life where you realize all the time that you tried. You maybe in your 20s you spent trying to be popular, and you were, struggling, trying to, like, become, you know, for me, maybe I wanted to be Katie Couric, maybe I was striving to have money, and you're trying to shoot for all of these things, but at the end of the day, you just realize what's really important. And you're totally right. Like, I mean, some people's interview, you might meet the most gorgeous person in the world, but as you get older and you realize the person is dark on the inside, there's, there's no beauty there.
absolutely. So like you said, you changed careers 2 years ago. You went one day, you were this TV personality, and the next
Mhm.
day you went full time in real estate or part
Mhm.
time, however you want to look at it.
Well, with COVID,
Yeah.
things kind of, that, who could have predicted that? I mean, that kind of, that put a damper on everything, but that's okay.
But I understand that people still are buying houses and selling houses.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Um, and a lot of that real estate industry has changed over the years because there's so much online. Okay. And
Hmm.
even before
Hmm.
you, um, get the address of a house, you can look online and say, whoa, that looks sort of neat. And
Oh
now,
yeah. Hmm.
ask you as the realtor, hey, can you actually take me through it? Uh,
Hmm.
so you said that you always wanted to help people. That's what you're
Hmm.
doing as a realtor, right?
Well, I try to, and I always tell people I am not high pressure sales at all. In fact, I worked with a couple of my friends this weekend, and they said, what do you think? We were at a house that they were thinking of making an offer on. I said, well, you know what? I want you guys to be happy. I'll show you as many houses as you want. Do you have that feeling that this is where you want to be? So, yeah, and that way, yeah, and I help, people call me for advice, people call me for information, and and I'm all about that. I love it when people and that's what I loved about being a reporter too. I had a lot of people that came to me that thought that I could help to maybe empower them or help them, and that's a really cool feeling when people respect you enough or think enough of you to pick up the phone, and ask you, for whatever kind of guidance they think that, or knowledge that they think that you have.
Absolutely. So you are married to the handsome hunk, Tony
I'll
Zarrella.
make sure he watches this. He'll love to hear that.
Um,
I think so, but I'm biased.
well, you two are this beautiful couple in Cleveland. And I know that you're real. And so not every
Thanks,
day
Karen.
is full of roses and lollipops.
Hello. marriage is hard,
It is. It is. Um, you know,
but
I
it's
love,
worthwhile, right? It's worthwhile to make it work. Stay and make it work.
and it is a job. Okay. It and you can turn it into a fun job. I know, especially since the pandemic, at least for the first probably 6 months of it, not only was Alex out of work, my husband was out of
Uh,
work. I kept working at podcasting, and
mhm.
neither one of them like were happy with me because they were getting bored. Okay.
Right, right, right.
So at the end of the day, I had to adjust for them, and we all got to know each other so much better.
Mm,
And it was work and still is to some degree. Uh,
hmm.
and so, you've been married how long now?
13 years, Karen. Like it goes fast, doesn't it?
Well,
Whoa.
we just celebrated 37, and the two of us looked at each other and said,
Oh,
"Seriously? That's
I
like
know.
half of our
It
life."
flies by. It
It
just
does.
fly. I can now. I get that. It's like I think a few years ago I would have been like, oh, you were married 37 years. Now I go, yeah, I see how that happens because we blinked and we're starting to get to the point where we're doing the math on how long we've been married. We're like 13 years. I mean, been together for 14. It just life flies. That's why we have to enjoy every day. But yeah, you mentioned the pandemic, and I do think there was a lot of lessons to be learned there, and a lot of growth.
So, what message would you like to give us regarding G? Because she's beautiful, she's talented. I love when she sings with her father. Um, she's got such a passion for music.
She
Uh,
does. She loves music. She loves. We could turn our day around, Karen. If she's having a difficult time, you put some music on, and it just changes her whole attitude, and it makes her happy that very quickly.
and that's something that you had to learn following her instincts, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and as a mom, it's like you do figure you have to you kind of you do figure out what it is that works, what doesn't. And I don't know if you knew this, because we haven't had a chance to really talk too much one-on-one. Like, we really support each other a lot. Whenever I see something of yours on Facebook, I try to like it, I try to add it to my timeline. But so Gianna is also on the spectrum. So Gianna has a dual diagnosis.
Okay.
So she's had autism, ADHD, and Down syndrome. So, and the reason I bring that up is that I think that one of I've been reading a lot about the different posts from World Down Syndrome Day, and one of my favorite posts was this one person that wrote something about don't just love our kids. I mean, of course, like, people were posting these wonderful pictures, and we love to, share her dance, the timeline, Facebook memories that come up on your timeline, with her maybe dancing when she was 3, and
Yep.
Tony and I, or we see these pictures of them when they were 5,
Mm.
5, and Facebook reminds you of all these great memories. And of course, most of us post all the great stuff, but when a lot of us, I don't post anything bad. I try to keep things positive. But one of the things, and one of my favorite posts was to, not just love our kids when you see them, dancing and happy and all this, but even because one of the myths of Down syndrome is that kiddos, just like anybody else, our kids have bad days, and Gianna has a dual diagnosis. So she can be very rigid, and sometimes I feel like I'm walking on eggshells a little bit. Sometimes you don't know what's going to set her off. It's like a loud noise, or if things don't quite go her way, or things a little, if you kind of, the day goes a little out of what she had planned. That's what I'm referring to, using music. That's the big tool to help kind of get our day back on track. But you know, I just think that yeah, we should remember kids with disabilities and kids with Downs. Because I'm mentioning kids with Down syndrome because of the World Down Syndrome Day. But also, please, reach out and help and love us when our kids are, when Gianna's having a meltdown. She's, I think of the birthday parties that Anthony is both kids at birthday parties, but I'm thinking in particular, I don't know why this just popped into my head. We were at a birthday party a few years ago. This is before we knew she also had autism. And she got really impatient because the birthday cake wasn't coming fast enough.
Got it.
And she had a meltdown, and all the kids are sitting at the table and they're all happy and they've got their plates and we sang happy birthday. And then she starts screaming her head off. And it was such a difficult moment. My son he was little. I mean, they're a year apart.
Yeah.
So he was little, but all of these different instances where she has had these meltdowns had really created a lot of stress for him. So it hasn't always been an easy journey for us. But what I will say is, like any other kiddo and any other person or relationship worth having, it's worthwhile. And as long as I love the support and I know you said you saw a couple kids with Down syndrome getting bullied, but what I like to focus on, and I know you're the same kind of person as me, is there's so much love out there. I think that's the one thing that's the beauty of having a child with Down syndrome has been seeing the people that I remember. I'm actually parked right outside Giant Eagle right now because I had to drop my son off at school. I remember bringing her when she was first born. I'd shopping at Giant Eagle, and she was like a magnet, Karen. People were so drawn to her. And to this day, Tony and I laugh because we post things about Anthony. Of course, he gets his attention. But when we post something about Gianna, and the response we get, we always say she blows up Facebook every single time, and it restores my faith in humanity. When we turn on the news, I do a lot of reading online. I'm still a newsie, and even though I wish I wasn't, because there's so much negative and bad stuff that's out there. But what I like to focus on is the beauty of all the support and all the love that people that really, they don't, and I appreciate that, when people just like it or they heart whatever we post, but there's a lot of people that take the time to actually write a message, about Gianna. And I look at all the likes and I look at all the hearts, and I also look at all the messages, and I try to also heart each and every one of them, because we appreciate the love and the support. And that's, that makes it all worth it, Karen. And it reinforces to me, yeah, there's some knuckleheads out there, and there's some negativity. There's always going to be evil in the world, but I'm convinced there's so much more that's good. And Gianna brings that out in people, and it's an amazing thing to see. It's the coolest thing in the world to see.
Well, and I'm hoping what people are hearing is that the family, starting with you and Tony and little Anthony, it's not always easy. And just like Gianna's going to have her bad days, the three of you are going to have your bad days as well. And that's when we have to step forward and say, okay, how can we help you?
Yes.
Not even have to ask the words, but know there are certain things that we can do to brighten up your day, which then it will reflect all around. And that's something that we didn't really have until Alex was almost a young adult. And once we got that support, it just made the difference. It wasn't somebody saying to me, well, Karen, you decided to have a child late in life. So, and that's what I was hearing when he was younger. I mean,
oh, really?
terrible things like that. But yet, as he got older, it was, do you want to meet for a cup of coffee? Or, maybe just take a step away. And I started reading those things and saying, you're right. Okay. He is okay. I can walk outside and feel the fresh air, enlighten myself, and then come back in and be a better person for him. And therefore, he's a better person for me.
Yes.
So I hear what you're saying. I love what you do day in and day out.
I love what you do, Karen, because you just work tirelessly try to make other people's lives better. And and you don't have to do that. I mean, you could choose to do something else, but you choose to have this podcast, and you're always putting yourself out there and trying to help people, and it doesn't go unnoticed. I want you to know that.
I appreciate that, because my dream growing up was also to be either Jane Pauley or Kate. And now that I look at their lives, not that they're bad lives, but you know what? I don't think I really wanted that after all. I mean, this is what I want, and I'm glad.
It's all encompassing, that's the thing. And then you realize, like, no, what I have is, you realize like how precious and how, to, like, I mean, I remember I wanted more than anything in the world to work at the Today Show, but that's a lifestyle choice.
Right.
And you only have so many hours in the day, and we only have so many years to live. And how do you want to spend that time? I mean, you know what I'm, and I'm not, that's not saying that I would have said no to the Today Show, but I mean, but no, but I mean, I think I'm just, right now I'm in a place where I'm just so appreciative of every day, all the things I'm able to do with my kids. And I don't have, somebody saying, sorry, you got to be here at this time. And I've got to let somebody else, go and pick my son up from hockey practice,
Sure.
or, I feel like so much of a better mom right now, but that's where I'm at in my life right now. But I just, you realize, I think the older you get, another lesson learned, you realize when you're in your 20s, people tell you life is short, right? But you don't know what that means.
Exactly.
And so something else happened that really, I think, also pushed me to make the change in my life. We lost two really important people in our lives, Tony and I, in 2018. His dad died at the beginning of the year, and then I lost my precious grandma at the end of the year,
Mm.
and we're extremely close. And and I think that really made me, I realized, even though I knew that day would come, I think as you get older, then it starts to unfold what that really means, how short life is, and how you need every day that you get is a gift. And you can't say, oh, well, you know what, 2 weeks from now I'll be able to make your practice, Anthony. Mom's schedule's a little booked right now, but I don't, you can't do that. you
Right.
know I,
You're
i'm
right.
glad that I'm glad that for me, like, life is shifted, and I can be the one to be there for my kids, because I did the math, and I'm like, Tony and I went, wow, we blinked, and the two of them are 10 and 11, and my son he'll be 18 and off to college. Now Gigi will always be with us, but still she's in her formative years. And getting back to why you initially called me about kids with disabilities too, she needed, especially kids with disabilities, well, all kids need stability and they need routine. And what happened with me is I had three different people helping me while I was working. I was working full time, and there was no consistency. The kids had a different helper coming in every day to, you know, get them off the bus. I mean, it was madness. And I think it really hurt Gianna, because that we sort of lost a year. I did early mornings one year, and I think we lost some development, because I would leave and I'd have to be at work at 3:30 in the morning. And I think she would wake up not long after I left. And so she wasn't sleeping well. And then, caretake people come in to help you, but no one's going to be able to take care of your kid the way that you take care of them,
Absolutely.
or provide the routine that you do. And because she didn't have routine, I feel like today, not that I feel, I'm not being too, moms are so hard on themselves. It's like, and I'm one of them, but I mean, you do the best that you can at the time with what you know and what you have. And so I'm not too hard on myself, but I do realize that she really needed me to be there for her more. And so did my son. Things are falling apart, but I'm starting to see we're seeing a lot of progress, from when I decided to leave the station and I was able to be there for my kids. I think we saw a lot of progress for her, especially developmentally. I mean, Anthony's, it's sometimes we don't even know how he learns some of the things he does, but Gianna needs that consistency, and you need to, like, really, she needs a lot of help. I mean, we're still working on, she's making a lot of progress, but at 11, we're still working on potty training. So it's not easy, but we see progress. It's slow progress, but I mean, that's why, you have, we have to be, as moms, it's, and dads too, but we got to be there. I had to be there for her. I had to be there for Anthony. And I feel like so much more of a better mom now. But like we talked about when we were off air, I was fortunate because we did have Aunt Tony's income coming in. So it's, I acknowledge, I remember growing up, my mom was working full time and she was doing the best that she could. She needed to work. We needed that money. So not everybody can do that, but if you can, yeah, I thought I couldn't. I didn't know that we would financially be okay. And then it turns out that we were spending so much money in China that it actually helped us financially for me to not be working. So, but I let that fear kind of dwelled inside me for a while. I was afraid to leave my TV job. I was afraid financially. I was afraid, because I'd worked so many years to get that job. Would I, if I wanted to get back in, could I ever get back in again? And once I let go of that fear, life really unfolded in the most positive and the best way that I could have imagined. Is it perfect? No, but I feel like I'm where I should be right now. And that's a cool feeling in life.
Absolutely.
The worst feeling is when you feel conflicted, like you're not living your dreams, you're not following your gut, you're not listening to your inner voice. That's a difficult place to be. I've been there several times in my life. And so I'm really enjoying that. What do they call it? Flow, where you feel like you're right where you need to be.
That is wonderful. Well, I want to send out a big hug to the whole Zarrella family.
You too, Karen.
Thank you. Keep in touch. And if you go to a baseball game this season, you might see Alex somewhere working his butt off. Okay.
We'll look for him.
I appreciate it. Have a great day, honey. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye, Karen. Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
made my day.
Thank you.